So I've worked in and around charitable giving for 30 years as a fundraiser, a corporate grant maker, and an advisor. And I've met a lot of clever, good people who are not smart about their giving. Now, I'm not talking about the big, big, big givers or the small, small, small givers. My research tells me that in Switzerland, the average donation per person is just under 500 Swiss francs a year to about 4 different charities. And it's about the same in the UK. So I'm talking about you, not sure about you, definitely you, your friends, your family, your colleagues, me, my friends, and my colleagues back in England. So why would you want to be a smart giver? Well, you don't want to be a stupid one, do you? But how do you become one quickly and easily? Well, if you were to Google it, you would get, on a good day, somewhere between 14 and 15 million results, which is a little overwhelming. Now, if you were to Google how to make a chicken casserole, you get 6.5 million results. But the point is, there are far more cooking books and recipes for casseroles than there are books and guides around being a smart giver. So I want you to think of the next few minutes as a giving cooking class. And I'm going to give you the ingredients and recipe to take smart giving home with you tonight. But let's just think about our giving for a second. How we do it in this way. We're asked, we give. It's the seasonal time of year, we give. A friend is running a marathon, we give. A colleague is doing an event, we give. There's a disaster relief appeal on television, we give. We give, we give, we give. And we give away millions and millions of pounds of money and francs all around the world. We give that, and I believe what happens in that moment, we want the world to be a better place. Our heart says yes, it pushes our mind out of the way, we agree, we hand over our money. Isn't that very trusting? Just to hand our money over to something that says they're doing what they're doing and trying to fix a problem that they're trying to fix, and we think our money's going to make a difference. I can't think of anything else where we give our money into something as an investment without doing any kind of pre-checking. And let me tell you, charities love us for it. They absolutely love us for not asking questions, not doing any due diligence. Some of them, I would say, almost take the money and run. So I'm going to tell you what those ingredients are. But before I do that, I'm going to tell you something about what happened to me when I didn't follow my own advice. And given this was 28 years of being an expert, they tell me, in this field. I was sitting at home one night with my husband watching a documentary on television about the war in Syria. And the journalist was interviewing a woman who had her son with her. I'm guessing he must have been about 8 or 9 years old. And this child was clearly really traumatized by what he'd gone through. And he kept saying in a rather quiet voice, I want to go to school, I want to go to school, I want to go to school. And his mother said to the journalist, if he could go to school, his life would feel more normal. In that moment, I would have done anything for that child. I switched off the television and I thought, what can I do? And I remembered a charity that I thought did work in war zones, so I looked them up, and there it was, front of center on the website, an educational program in the war zone in Syria. Perfect, I thought. I went no further. I sent them a check. Now, I sent them, which for me is probably almost all of my annual donations in one. And in England, you can do your giving through an anonymous system, so I wasn't expecting a thank you or anything. And I forgot about it. I thought my money's going to a really good cause. A year later, the check was sent back to me. By the charity banking system, it hadn't been cashed. I was curious and furious. I'd given this money, and it had been sent back to me. They hadn't spent it. Okay. So I rang them up. I then had 3 different telephone conversations with the same person in the fundraising department who, frankly, wasn't remotely interested in the fact that they'd lost quite a big donation. I was more furious. So I rang back and I asked to speak to the chief executive. I thought, that'll get them. And they said, what's it about? And I was a bit naughty. I said, it's about a donation. And I named the corporate that I work for because I wanted to get in there quickly. He's terribly busy. Someone will ring you back in 10 minutes. And they did, by the way. And we then had this conversation where I told this head of fundraising what had happened, and I could hear her sinking to the floor as the story unfolded. And I said to her, I will think about giving you this donation if you come up with a very plausible reason for basically not spending my money. I'll get back to you in 20. I said, don't make me promises you can't keep. I'll give you 48 hours. Within an hour, she rang back. The money had been locked in a safe and forgotten about. So I said to her, I'm not going to give you the money. And the reason I'm not going to give you the money is not that I don't think you do great work, is that your staff didn't care. They didn't care about a donor who bothered to call them to ask them about what had happened to their money. So, let it never happen to you again. Here are my 5 ingredients for the smart giving recipe. 1, the appeal. Charities use emotion to grab our hearts and call us in. So what you need to do is just take a step back for a second. You do not have to give to the first one that asks you or the first one that you find. There are plenty out there. But put on a cool, slightly rational head about this as to who they really are and what they're really doing. 2, the charity. I think it's really important that you find a charity that aligns itself with your giving strategy. So do your research. There's no rush. Ask friends, ask family, ask colleagues, use social networks, use the internet, but make sure you find one that really has a meaning to you. 3, their work. Use their website as your first virtual meeting with them. You should be able to find clear information about what they're doing, the problem they're tackling, and how they're tackling it. You should be able to find their annual report, their accounts, their board, their key staff members. And if you can't, call them. As what happened to me, it's very telling how they engage with someone who's a potential donor. 4, their finances. No matter how small, they should be sound. That means their fundraising should be better than what they're spending on raising it. They should be successful in their fundraising. They should have at least 2, 3, 4 sources of funding, and they should always have 6 to 9 months reserves in their bank accounts to make sure that if something goes wrong, they can carry on working. And 5, the impact. Really the heart of all of this is, are they really making a difference to the problem they say they're trying to solve? You want to see some research or data or even good stories if they're small, that you then come away thinking, this is the one for me. I like them. I'm going to support them. People give to charity for all sorts of reasons, and there's no wrong way to do it. But it should be a relationship between you and them. It's a blend of science and art and love. But let me tell you, smart givers believe that their time, their talent, and their treasure are valuable investments in that organization. So if you can use your heart, your mind, and your money, you will have greater impact, and the world will be a better place.